Like it all felt like the bare minimum. It did not feel like I was being some champion or some hero. But this is who I am. So anyone who cares about who I am, needs to know that this is how I feel about this thing.
This episode is being supported by Tape It. If you currently use voice notes to record your ideas, you should try Tape It instead.
Yeah, I think this song was a kind of a layer cake of things for me. I think there's the sort of probably most obvious angle of it, which is that it's about, cancel culture and being eviscerated online. But I think the other thing, and the thing that really was the impetus for writing the song in general was more to do with the sort of like not cancellation, but a kind of a cultural thing that I don't even think is very new, which is a thing becomes popular and it's in vogue and there's this kind of mass like, oh, we love this thing. And then maybe through overexposure, it crosses the bridge from cool and exciting to like overrated and cast out. And I think that I was thinking about it, myself as a teenager, and I won't name names because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but an artist or a band I might have thought was so great, and then they put out their second or third album, and I was like, this is trash, and you just like abandon ship on this artist that meant so much to you. You had a poster of them on your wall, and I just think that like that combined with the cancel culture is just kind of a weird like kind of monarchy, old king is dead, long live the king thing that we do with media in general. Of like, I love this song, I love this film, I love this book, and then a year later it's like, fuck that, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing that we all do. So that was sort of the thing that I was thinking about when I was writing it.
Yeah, and you make that comparison between the humanity of now, who thinks that, hey, everything's new, we got these new shiny toys and our culture has evolved. And you point out that actually, no, this is a human trait that goes back
it's very
to
primitive.
The dawn of time.
Yeah, for sure. And it's I think that's the other thing is like when something goes out of fashion. And I think at the time when I was writing this song, it was also during the George Floyd Black Lives Matter protests in America. And I did not really feel qualified or interested in writing or commercializing any of that. I wrote sort of two songs during that period of time. I wrote this song and I wrote a song called What They'll Say About Us. And there's undercurrents of it in both those songs. What They'll Say About Us was about Nick Cordero and his wife Amanda Klutz, and Nick Cordero was dying, and it was all happening at the same time. It was like the first time anyone had paid any attention to anything that wasn't COVID since COVID started, because George Floyd had just been murdered and there were protests every day. And I was thinking like, wow, we're all paying attention to something else, but everybody's still dying of COVID. So in that song, I was writing about it. And then in this song, it was like, we'd had this very fortunate ascent to sort of whatever you want to call it, notoriety or influence. And it was the first time we'd spoken out on, what I consider apolitical things. I consider them human rights issues, but, people who disagree with you consider them political. And so it was just sort of the backlash of talking about something that I thought couldn't be more clear which side was the correct side to be on,
If you, like so many of our guests, use voice notes to capture your ideas, you will love Tape It. It's the iPhone recording app designed specifically for musicians and songwriters. With Tape It, you can record straight from your lock screen, set markers, add notes, and even include photos of settings. Plus, there's Cloud Sync, you can import your old voice notes, and to stay on top of it all, Tape It has great labeling features like automatic instrument detection. And all of the above is free. If you currently use voice notes, switching to Tape It is a no-brainer. And there's more. If you upgrade to Tape It Pro, it uses 2 microphones on your iPhone along with gentler dynamic compression to give a much more natural sound than any of the usual apps. And we have a huge offer for you. 50% off Tape It Pro if you upgrade now. Just go to the app and select Tape Notes in the onboarding process or click the link in the description below.
And so it's just kind of writing about like the nature of like the kind of messages I was getting for posting, again, like slogans like Black Lives Matter does not seem super hard to get behind for me. And anyone that was like, I used to be a fan, you're like, right. Jesus Christ. All right, off with you. And So yeah, I was kind of thinking about that at the same time.
Yeah.
There's that, like, if you get political, they'll make you a criminal. It's all a bit biblical, just like anything that you're, God forbid you have an opinion.
Yeah. It's a tricky thing because you can end up getting your wings clipped by that kind of reaction. No, and it's difficult to think, hang on a minute. No, I couldn't say.
Well, and people, I have friends who are staunchly, again, like, to me, it's not political, but I have friends who are staunchly apolitical on the internet because they're terrified of alienating their fan base, their audience. And it's like, I empathize because they've built a livelihood off of it. And, I don't think anybody wants to, like, lose the thing that they've worked really hard to attain. But, at the end of the day, to me, it was like, well, this is who I am. So anyone who cares about who I am, needs to know that this is how I feel about this thing.
Yeah.
And it also, like, the whole thing was frustrating me because it felt like posting some article to donate to the, bail fund or whatever we were doing. Like, it all felt like the bare minimum. It did not feel like I was being some champion or some hero. It felt like the easiest, lowest common denominator positive thing I could possibly do. So the idea that it was like getting hate for that was like, this is so menial and silly.
Yeah. So you're there at the piano thinking all these thoughts, trying to put some of these thoughts into words and then combine them with music.
Yeah.
And so then you're faced with a series of questions about what am I going to do with all this?
That's right. Yeah. So I had this song that I thought was really cool on its own. Sounded like that with the piano and the vocal. And then I think the first thing I did was I started to build a drum loop that I would sing over.